She put like, oh, here's my number in case I win. Give me a call.
We didn't call her.
Well, I did, but I mean, not about Anime Jeopardy. But yeah.
All right, fair enough. You're listening to Anibros episode number 73. This week we conclude our KCON coverage with a final bonus episode recapping the final days at Kumoricon 2014. So excuse our karaoke mic quality because the mobile Anibros are starting now. All right, well, this is official day 2/day 3 coverage. As you just heard,
unofficial day 4 coverage.
This is technically unofficially day 4 coverage as well. As you've heard, we've already kind of went over day 3, but now we're joined with our old friend Patrick again.
Mm-hmm.
After the fact, he's here to tell us about what I could not tell you about his portion of day 2.
I should say to all the longtime Anibros fans, you may be wondering why it sounds so different. We're actually in a different room than we normally record.
We're in a different room. We have different microphones.
So that may throw some of you off.
We're coming to you live on location from Patrick's house. So basically, I already went over what we did. But
What do you mean by we?
What you and I did on day 2.
Okay.
Already, but I sort of kind of glossed over it. So we can start again.
All right. Well, thing one is we slept in kind of late. So.
Well, did we sleep in late? Maybe. Did it really inhibit us from seeing all the great panels that we missed?
Probably. Yeah.
No, it didn't.
How many panels at this con did you? I don't know. You hadn't really thought of it much, or you didn't know, and then you went and you're like, oh, turns out that was a good one. Or that you thought would be good, and you get there and you're like, oh, wasn't as good as what I thought.
There was one of those. I went to... I don't have a schedule in front of me. Oh, but I can. I went to... I forgot to mention this yesterday, but I stopped in from fan to pro, working as a professional geek. Now, I went there 10 minutes early. People were kind of coming in. All 6 of them were sitting there waiting.
Oh. I thought this would be way more popular.
Yeah, I thought so too. But I went in there, I was waiting. There was the guy, he was up there just talking nonsense. And it took me about 2 minutes for him like, yeah, I think I'm gonna just leave before this even gets started.
Well, what did he do for a living?
I don't know. He was bantering with somebody in the front row about something. There were like 1 or 2 people in there. And he did not seem like he was going to be a well-presented speaker or well-prepared speaker.
Well, I mean, a lot of people going into Anime Jeopardy probably thought that after my 20-minute intro speech. But then the real Patrick came out.
Yeah, but they had the luxury of seeing a little video and the panel starting before they could make that decision. I was sitting there 10 minutes before the panel started and could automatically tell that this was going to be a train wreck. So I left and went directly across the hallway over to Life of an Artist, how to create a life based on your passions and succeed doing what you love. The second longest title compared to Anime Jeopardy on the schedule, I think.
I'm guessing a motivational speaker?
Yeah, she was like she's a voice actress and like a regular live action actress, and also a voice and acting coach on the side. So she was telling us all about how much if we believe in ourselves, we can do anything. And I saw Willis there.
Oh.
He was getting his inspiration,
Okay.
and I was getting nothing out of this. Like, okay, lady, I know that if I believe in myself, I can do it. It wasn't really like new information. It was just like, just remember that you're not terrible, kind of a thing. So I left.
You know what? I think we need a few more people after our panel to come up and tell us that. Hey, you weren't terrible.
That would be nice. It's nice to know that we're not the worst thing there. But that was I already kind of knew we weren't the worst thing there. There were many,
that's hard to do.
That's not you.
Like there were panels that just straight up didn't even occur that we were better.
I wished that we were the worst thing. Because that would mean that the convention as a whole was like flawless and great.
Oh, okay. I see what
Like
you're not saying we should shoot for that.
We should not be like almost the best thing.
Just get up on stage and like stare at people and like start videotaping them and get real close for a while and
I believe
until
that
they all just one by one leave.
Anime Jeopardy was good, but it's certainly not like top tier quality programming that could be there. And I'm of the opinion that our thing was some of the best thing there, which I don't think it should be. Like our terrible presentation shouldn't be like what you're comparing everything else to.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we filmed the first 20 minutes, and I don't know. After the panel, I was like, I didn't feel like people were really laughing, and then I went and watched the video, and I was like, oh, that's why.
yeah.
So each time I do this, by which I mean the 2 times, I learn a little something. First thing, don't start 20 minutes late. We didn't do that. We only started 10 minutes late.
That's right.
Second thing, don't start off with a 20-minute monologue to yourself. I'll try not doing that next year.
Maybe make it 10 minutes. Cut it in half.
10 minutes, I think, would have been good. Yeah.
All right, so let's go through Saturday and see, and just, I already said what we did.
Oh, you took my schedule.
Yeah, I was looking through it, but so you say what we did. I already said what we did, but let's give it the Patrick twist.
Yeah, just in case someone out there
I didn't
listening
explain,
to hour 20 of Kumoricon coverage.
I didn't explain like what.
I just need more of this.
I sort of just read off the stuff we went to. I didn't really explain much about it. So.
All right, thing 1, I went and got a gyro over at the Saturday market.
Right when we arrived.
That was one of my favorite booths. Panels of the entire Kumoricon.
Was the food cart outside not affiliated with Kumoricon whatsoever? Indeed.
Well, it was there. That's affiliation to some degree, proximity.
Sure.
So yeah, when did we get there?
It was around 12, maybe 12:31.
Okay. Let's see here. We. Holy cow, what did we do?
The first thing we went to, I think...
Giants, Dwarves, and the Electric Universe with Chuck Huber. Was that the first thing, though?
Yeah, because we got a gyro, and I got a burrito. We walked around. We went directly to the dealer's room when we first got there. So we did a lot of walking around and not a lot of panel going on when we first got there.
All right. That panel was not what I was expecting. All I read from that was Giants and Dwarves.
Yeah. Same.
And that was it. And so I'm going there, and I'm sitting there for a while, and I'm like, not hearing a lot about Giants and Dwarves. And then it was all about...
like metaphysics and the electric theory and
electric
universe theory.
I was a little concerned, like, I'd never heard this stuff before. I'd like to consider myself as having a vague idea of what's going on in the science world. So I'm like... Are you giving me like a legit theory, or is this a conference of a few people who are a little odd, or what's also this has little to do with Kumoricon, but more importantly, that guy had the audience in the palm of his hand.
Why don't you tell us his name?
Chuck Huber?
Yes, he's a voice actor.
Yeah,
he voiced Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Is that what?
That's what I was thinking of the whole time. Yeah.
Is that a name, or is that just someone clearing their throat? What is that?
It's up to you. But more importantly, he has a kind of a distinct voice. So when you hear him talk, and you've seen something that he's been in, you're like, this is weird that he's explaining science to me.
So I see him up there. The whole time I'm just thinking, I'm not sure I should. And just take all this with a grain of salt, but I was more interested in how he's capturing the audience. He was up on the table, didn't have any shoes on. He was laughing. He was telling the corniest jokes I've ever heard. I'm like, that's what we should do.
He was just kind of like a hobbit from Lord of the Rings.
We should go up to Anime Jeopardy, flip our chair around, and people be like, oh my, this guy, he knows what it's at,
Yeah.
Maybe, put my hat on askew or something, and then just be like, hey, everybody, and then just tell little kid corny jokes, because that's apparently what those con-goers love.
Yeah, he was launching into his little his weird voices that seem like they would be intended to entertain a 6-year-old. Like, I can make a wacky voice. And the little kid's like, oh, yay.
I mean, I've only got one voice, and it's this one, sadly. But I could use it the entire time, so that's something.
Just be like, okay, kids, let's rap for a second.
Knock, knock.
How'd you like to hear about some Jeopardy?
Just tell them the metaphysics behind Jeopardy, but don't actually, describe Jeopardy.
Start explaining all about Alex Trebek's life and all of his things he's had to go through. And why
about how the man is trying to hold you down, about how the rich out there don't want you to see the truth that is being held beneath your eyes in this magic universe, laser eyes.
I did start to get the feeling after a bit that he personally believes in crazy conspiracies, but he was doing an okay job at not preaching his conspiracies, but kind of just like, you should probably think about the fact that blah 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 my conspiracy. Anyway, yeah, but let's not talk about that now. And then he would give little points to where he'd be like, it's not just like, the man might not be just trying to make science fake. That way, everyone goes down the wrong path about science. But
I mean, yeah, aren't we all slaves here, working for the man, trying to make our way through the world?
His analogy was that his favorite Dutch economist analogy that he explained about was that if you imagine, like, was it society or like the passage of time?
Just the entire. Actually, I'm not sure where you're going.
I don't remember what the parade was supposed to represent, but it was a parade.
Yeah, a parade of like all the people in the world.
Was it all the people?
Yeah, and their height represented their wealth.
Oh, that's right. And then he explained that the parade would go by, and you'd stand there and watch the parade. And at the beginning, it would just be small people, like inches tall people, and it would continually go up until like the last people would be like 30 feet tall, 50 feet tall, toward like the last third of the parade. The parade only lasts 1 hour, so this is all compressed into you have to imagine it as being a 1 hour parade, and all the people walking by with their height is their wealth. And then he said like the last 0.8 seconds or last 8 seconds of the parade would be people that are 2 and 3 miles tall.
Yeah.
And he says, those are the giants. And those are the people keeping down all the little men. I mean, no, sorry. But he kind of said it in that sort of tone where he's like, what if the giants are just doing this? Oh, never mind. Anyway, and he would just every once in a while, he would just say a thing where you're like, I think he's not doing a good job at hiding his true opinion right there. But then you'd go right back into it seamlessly to where it might have been intentional that's maybe his way of speaking in order to
Maybe
leave.
I should do that with Anime Jeopardy, just be like going on and then just veer off for a second then pop back.
It's a little double punch.
Yeah.
You're like, crazy, normal. And then you're like, what was that first part? And normal the whole time. And you're like, all right. And then you just remember all of it. And
corny joke.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, that was a good joke. And he said a normal thing. But you forget that crazy thing he said, but you remember it in your head. So you'll have this weird little thing that's planted inside your mind.
Anywho, if you go there and if you turn around and someone smiles really, really big at you, that's because they were staring at you and trying to see if you would know they were staring at you.
Yeah, he was talking about, what did he call them? Interpersonal...
You called them laser eyes.
Those were the laser eyes, but he said that everyone has like a morphic field, and that people have laser eyes because they can look at a person and people are able to subconsciously know when someone's looking at you.
Well, I don't know if it's
and your morphic field is being penetrated by the person's vision.
Yeah.
So then you'll feel a disturbance and you'll be like, who's looking at me? And he's saying that it's proven. He says this. I didn't look it up or figure it out, but he says that it's proven to a science that people are able to perceive other people looking at them or a camera looking at them, which he must be arguing that like the photons coming back and bouncing off objects, you can feel it. I don't really know what he's getting at, but that's what he says. And he says like your morphic field is basically a hive mind that is controlled by Satan and the government.
Well, let's not get too crazy now.
Well, it basically is what it turned into, was something that sounded a bit that crazy. So you're like, wait a minute, what? We're like the Borg and we all share our thoughts. And he's saying that homesickness is explained by the fact that if we're away from our first morphic field for the first time, we start to miss the connection of all the shared thoughts and memories of our people we're always around. I started to be like, I don't know if this is proven. I don't think you can quantify this. I think maybe it's just a chemical imbalance for your scenery changing, but maybe it is that we all share memories like the Borg.
So yeah, there was that.
Yeah, that was the panel. That was it an anime convention?
I will give it to him. Full crowd.
Full crowd. It was in main
They
event.
stayed there the whole time.
Now, let me tell you,
I was just like, wow, I'm getting beat out by this guy, and not by a little bit, by like a whole lot.
Patrick was like just comparing himself to the speaking quality of this guy the whole entire time. He's like, why can't I breathe this good? Why? Just look at him. He's up there, and they're just eating out of his hands.
It ate a little bit at me, but I'm going to try to emulate him in some way.
Be like that. You got to dress like a hobbit, roll up your pants, have big feet, don't wear shoes, and go, kids, let's rap for a sec. And have like a little voice you do.
I'll try out a few voices, kind of like, hey, everybody. How was that one?
That was a different voice. What's your second different voice?
Hey, hey, hey.
I thought you were just going to do the high voice again. But that works too. So Patrick's got his Patrick plus 2, and Patrick minus 2. Those are his versions.
All right. For the rest of it, I'm looking at this. Legend of the Hidden Temple of Time.
That's
was
the line that you left.
An hour later.
Yeah.
Did we do something in betwixt that?
I think we just wandered around. We went to the dealer's room.
I doubt we went there again.
No, we went there twice because you wanted something to drink. And then later again.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And we went and checked
And
out
that was the time the line was really short.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that.
We also checked out the small dealer's room that was like the hidden version that they didn't tell us about.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, they put the dealer's room. They split it up into 2 this time. They've done something different with the dealer's room almost every time we've gone. I don't know how they can't figure out, like, this one works, stop changing it. But this time...
Well, maybe it just doesn't work and they need to keep tweaking it.
It works downstairs. It works in the basement.
Yeah, I've always thought that.
That's where it works, Kumoricon. That's where it will always work. Stop putting it
I was going to come back with something, but no, that's the best one.
Stop putting it in a different hotel where we have to walk a bunch. Stop putting it...
Well, they got to do that.
Don't split it into 2 to make everyone confused. Just put it downstairs in the open space where it's not loud. You can fit like 500 people in there. There's like hardly a limit on capacity. So do that. Come on.
Yeah.
Basically, in general, lines were a large problem, and a large line.
There were a lot of people there this year.
Yeah, I don't know if they've released how many yet, but I have not checked. But it was quite a few, and we'll get into this when we get into day 3. But lines, I have such a problem with how they handled lines. But we'll get into that in a minute.
Well, I was glad that they found some people to yell at us, so that was good.
Yeah, that's another one of my things. Hopefully I can get it all straight, because I should have wrote it down yesterday, because I had a very, like, an epiphany, coherent thought of, like, I could rant about these lines for hours. I have bullet points in my head, like, why are they doing this? I should go to the rant and rave right now and just complain, because it could be solved in an easier way. But hopefully I can remember how to complain about that in a minute.
So, yeah. So apparently that day, all I did was I went to that one panel, I went to the dealer's room, and I watched some terrible anime in the viewing room, which should just be renamed the waste time room until the panel you want shows up, because that's all anyone's doing in there.
Anyone. Or they're sleeping.
I remember, like last year, was it?
There was a sleeping fella in there.
And
someone's like, hey, take a picture. And he like made a crazy face next to him and I like photobombed the sleeping guy, and I took a picture of both of them.
Yeah, but the thing was, when you took the picture, it was a flash.
Yeah, and he woke up and we all went back to normal.
And now, mind you, it's very dark in there. The flash is blinding. So we all just very quickly go back to our seats. He wakes up because this huge flash has just happened. Everyone in the room has been hearing this guy and hearing our discussion about taking a picture of him. And so we're all trying not to laugh as he wakes up and he looks around and he sees this room of people who are either kind of just laughing very quietly, but not looking at him, just looking straight ahead. He's like, what just happened?
His thoughts were like, it could very well be that this show that they're watching is funny. but it seems fishy. They're all up to something, I think. But then if I remember right, he just was like, I don't really care. Went back to sleep.
Yeah, I think that was it.
That didn't happen this year.
No, that would have been good if it happened though.
We also didn't go to a viewing room while it was dark outside and late, so that might have been part of it. But yeah, so after we wandered around some more, we went to, and I went to those 2 panels, which I explained previously. Oh, but that comes later, actually. So we decided to line up for Legends of the Hidden Temple. We did, and we were standing there, just normal line style. They started to let us in, and then a little ways in front of us, they're like, "Okay, listen up. The room, which seats 6 people."
I think 200,
full.
but go on.
We thought that only 4 people would come to this, so we put them in the small room.
It was a small room.
Too bad it's a game show panel about moving around and activities, so we didn't really know that we probably should pack more people in here, is what I heard. But what they really said was, listen, it's full to capacity. We're going to have to cut it off here. You guys are welcome to wait in line some more, and if people leave, then it's first come, first serve based on the line, and you'll go in when people leave.
Yeah. And then I said, meh.
I'm getting the F out, is what Patrick told me. He whispered that into my ear. And I was like, what? Was that Willis? And then he was gone.
So yeah, walked to my car. I was walking, there's a side between the 2 hotels that mostly anime people are on. And I was just on the other side because I was going to my car. And I see 2 normal people walking by. And I overhear them, and they're older, like moms. And they're just, one of them's like, no, it isn't right. There are too many of them, and they're. I just don't think they should be dressing up like that. And the other one's like, well, if they get their kicks or what. No, they're taking up all the parking, and they're doing weird stuff. And I was like, yeah, I feel you.
I'll give them that. They are doing weird stuff.
And taking up all the parking.
That's true. Not all of it. If they were just to go over by that sketchy auto shop where we park, there's plenty of parking over there. Plenty.
Yeah, the place that has several signs up saying "Don't park here." Yeah,
they were official city signs saying like during the week this is not real parking. But I think it was exempt for that weekend.
Especially that Friday, which
nobody
we first got there.
Said that, and I have nothing to base this off of. But I feel that since a bunch of other people were parked there and they didn't tow us, and I parked there for several hours, that it was fine. So it was fine. That's where I'm going to park from now on.
What are they going to do? Tow us all? Huh?
Turns out they towed us all.
So yeah, then I headed on home.
That's when Patrick left, and that's when. So I waited in the line for a bit. I was going to play Munchkin with those people that were in our line with us. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And it was about that time, that thought that they're like, oh, they're letting us in. So we went in, I sat down. It was all floor seating. That's another thing that was kind of bad about that. So I found some floor space. I sat there, found out that the panel was all about lawn darts and lawn games in teams that vaguely had something to do with Legend of Zelda. It would have been fine if it was more put together, I suppose. It was sort of, they didn't have microphones, and they were just sort of, it was like us putting on a panel, so they didn't really seem to have their things together in the way where...
That's how you describe us.
In a way that it's like, that's an authority on this. Yes, they put this, they know how this panel works. They're kind of like, all right, and then you get the bow and arrow. Shoot it on here. And it was sort of quiet, and there was a lot of space in between the things they were saying, is what made me feel like they didn't have it put together very well. So I watched that for a bit. It was okay, but they had like 7 teams. So each game had to go through like 7 iterations of people. I was like, this is really boring. I was starting to get hungry, and this sucks. Actually, it's not even boring. It's just bad. So I'm gonna leave. So I got up, I left. And as you heard before, and there was a crazy lady who threw a tantrum.
Crazy cat lady.
Crazy cat lady. I didn't tell Patrick the story. I told him off the air about it later, but Stacey told the story previously that
she got several of her cats and threw them. Yeah.
That didn't happen at all. But she did throw a tantrum and rip up some papers of the panelists, so that she was escorted away.
I was saying to Leva, what if that happened during our panel? And he was like, yeah, whatever.
Well, I'm trying to think about it. I think that would be great. Not at the time, but later, best story. Would it not make the best?
That would. Just like, all right, people. Kumoricon coverage, day 3. I'm going to talk about what happened on day 1 again.
Yeah, it would be like, there was a lady who came up and ripped up, she smashed my computer. I'm still pretty mad, but that is a story. So it was like that, but I missed it, and that sucked. I was wandering around doing there was no reason. I was kind of panel hopping, finding nothing better to do until I was, I walked by, got in line for, as I said before, I was walking by to go to my car to drop something off at like, what time was it? 6. Okay. It was for Whose Line Is It Anyway? And that started at 8:30, and it was like 7:30. And you're not supposed to line up until a half an hour before. And if you try, the line Gestapo will come and they will break up the line and say, "No, you cannot congregate here. It is not time to line up yet," and they will stop you. And so that rule was just just blatantly disregarded. Because I walked by and there was a line, and I was like, the thing I want to do next is going to be where that line is. But it's way early, so maybe something else is lined up here. And then I was just walking by, and I had almost gotten to the front of the line, just walking on the sidewalk parallel to the line. And I heard someone say, "What's this line for?" "Oh, it's for Whose Line?" I just immediately stopped. I was like, so turn around, get back in the line. And at that time, Stacy and her group were still in Legends of the Hidden Temple. And so I'm waiting there, and I'm like, I don't know if they're going to be able to make it. Because I turn around, and we have like 45 minutes until this stupid panel. And it's just the line is so long. And nobody broke us up. But eventually, they started forming us into 5 stacks of 5. And you were never in one of those lines with me, were you? Where they started, so it was a single file line.
Yeah.
Then they started making it another axis to the line. So it was like 5, 5, 5.
All
the way back. And so that's how they were counting people. Groups of 5. And it was still this impossibly long. And we're like, oh my God, this line. And I waited in line. I got to see it. The other people did not. So sucks for them. But I saw it. It was really funny.
You got any pointers for me?
Yeah, we just need to be a comedy troupe. Just a real comedy troupe. Because these, what were they called? Conventional improv guys. I always had like this weird stereotype in my head that anime improv groups were probably the worst thing possible.
Yeah.
Like birthday clowns, like just not funny, not good. Like, why do they even try? Which, that is a stereotype. And it's true for the most part. But these guys, they seem like a regular comedy troupe that also just know some stuff about anime. So they're pretty funny and on the ball with stuff. And most of their jokes were funny. And they put on just a series of game show panels, which apparently have been happening for the last 6 years. I had no idea. I just assumed that the game shows that I saw on the schedule were put on by some schmucks like us.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to their game show.
Well, we have gone to a few game shows that were put on by schmucks like us.
Yes, exactly. So I guess it was more like I didn't really know, or I didn't, if I read just by scanning in the book, like, blah, 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 anime, improv, game show, I'm like, nope. I probably just immediately put it out of my head and never went, which was, in retrospect, a bad plan because these guys are pretty funny. So they put on the Whose Line Is It Anyway, and it was just like the TV show where they would bring up some stuff. They had scenes from a hat. People would write in little scenes, and they would try to act them out. Funny stuff. And after that, I sort of waited around. Oh, we went to the stand-up comedy panel, which I really wish you were there.
Do you think I should have volunteered and given my 20-minute routine?
Again, we did talk about this yesterday, but again, it might be the worst panel at Kumoricon. Again, I also said this, but if you're just tuning in now, Kumoricon staff, don't approve that panel next year. Please do not. This joke, it's not a joke. This is not a joke getting old, me saying this. This is just another warning. Just don't do it. But it was god-awful.
Now, would you say, like, if I did get up and give my 20-minute routine, would I be, like, middle of the pack, kind of in the back, near the front?
It would be 100% the best comic there.
Oh, that's concerning.
I want you to imagine, all right, so imagine you're going to a panel, and that panel, you're looking in the book, like, what do I want to go see today? And that panel is Anime that scarred me for life.
Oh,
and you're
okay.
like, oh,
Yeah.
that looks like a thing.
Yeah.
And you go there, and people get up on a microphone, and they just try to tell a joke for 5 minutes. And then they put down the microphone, and the next person gets up and tries to tell a joke for 5 minutes. And by the end of the day, you're like, what are these people talking about? What is going on? Why are we even still here? What time and day is it? It was just that bad. It was Anime That Scarred Me for Life, but instead of them trying to explain about a bad anime, they're just trying to tell some stand-up that they wrote themselves that was just not
Was it at
comedy
least
or a joke or...
was it anime related?
Nope. It was just them being bad people for an hour. We're like, why is this existing? There's something to be said for, getting over your fear of public speaking and going up there and trying to, be a comedian. They didn't seem to have anything prepared or know what a joke was or how to tell a setup to a joke. One guy, most of them, more than one person, which I found weird, were like, okay, yes, my 5 minutes started now. I just want, before I tell some jokes, to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born here. This is my first
I was born to
Kumoricon.
a simple life
Yes, it
in
was
southern
like-
Idaho.
We're like, all right, fine. For the first guy, and the second guy does it. You're like, dude, you got 5 minutes. Like, tell your routine. Nobody had a routine, especially the guy putting on the panel. Like,
Did he do like some little jokes in between everyone to kind of liven things up? Maybe went out there, breaks the ice,
Now, the ice was so thick that I don't even know if a real, legitimate, paying touring comedian could get up there and break that ice and get us laughing at the end of it. It was just like, we need to go. It's just them really awkwardly telling some stories that were supposed to be jokes, but they just sound like awkward, bad stories by people who cannot speak. And you're like... What? We're just us in the back. We're just making fun of them, and then we eventually just laughed after. We're like, we can't handle this anymore.
This is what you do. You get yourself a few brewskis.
You needed to be like just blackout drunk for that to be fun. I'm not kidding.
And then you wander up there. Now, was it just like open mic night, or did he? Oh, okay.
It was a line. It was just like Anime That Scarred Me for Life.
Oh.
But they all were each given 5 minutes to just tell some jokes. Same caliber people, same caliber ability to public speak.
Okay,
Just,
that worries.
yes. So I'm at Kumoricon. What's with signs? They say weird stuff.
Yeah.
Nope, don't add that because that didn't happen. It was more like just murmuring and people making fun of the comic.
Just people being like, look at this schmuck.
Yeah, it was basically a bunch of people. Everybody in the audience who wasn't in line to tell jokes was just a troll or a hipster who's like, we know what real comedy is. Let's just watch this train wreck for 10 minutes. And eventually they couldn't handle it anymore and they all left.
I would love to be the very last comic and get up there and there's like one person left.
I don't know how that could have happened. It was seriously. I would have rather have gone to Anime That Scarred Me for Life twice in two. I would have if someone was like, you get to sit through 2 of these panels, like sit through one. If you could sit through one stand-up comedy panel, or you could sit through 2 Anime That Scarred Me for Life panels, I pick the scarring every time. Every time.
I'm almost tempted to write a little routine.
Yeah, I thought that too.
I would have to be a little drunk to
take a
pick
couple
up
shots,
the courage to get up
take
there.
a couple shots, have your routine memorized the previous year, like right.
Oh yeah.
5 minutes, the easiest amount of stand-up to do. 5 minutes, just write some jokes, practice them for an entire year, in front of the mirror. Get up there. Kumoricon audience, probably the easiest people to make laugh possible. You probably should go first while they're ready to listen and laugh. And
not like 30th.
Another thing, they had just like the most harsh bright lights on, and I don't know if you've ever been to a comedy show, but there's not the harshest bright lights in the entire room on, so it's just really awkward, and it was god awful. But it was kind of endearing just in the fact that it was so fun to make fun of and laugh about. After we got out of there, we're just like, what was that? How did that occur? But it was god awful. So
if I could also add, this is an aside, the very first year I went to Anime That Scarred Me for Life, it was an amazing panel, quite possibly the best panel I've ever been to. And then the years after that, it was truly awful. So that now it is awful. But I just wanted to mention that. At one point, I did think it was actually a very good panel.
We were discussing that during the panel and a little bit afterwards. We're like, well, Anime That Scarred Me for Life used to be a great panel when it had like a moderator and everyone sat in their seats and just kind of volunteered some funny stuff.
Yeah.
Then it was really good. You could like see a train of thought happening, and it was fine. It wasn't until they just turned the format over to, I'm going to talk for 1 minute and announce the fact that this is the panel and you're sitting in the right place. And now, here's the mic, here's a line, everyone get up there and tell you about how Pokemon was scarring to you somehow, and we're all going to listen. That's what it is now, and that's why it sucks. But we just bolted on that. Unfortunately, we didn't get to go to Salute, a non-military anime. I found...
What? Why not?
Because I don't remember why not. I think we went to go line up for Wheel of Fortune, and that line, again, you're supposed to line up a half an hour beforehand.
Screw Wheel of Fortune, you gotta go to Salute.
Yeah, but it wasn't put on by Guy.
Who? Oh.
So I was like, I don't know if it's going to be some, the ships are in the ocean and we got to fire. I don't know. I didn't want that to happen.
And then I got out a gun and I shot that alien right in the face.
I wanted to go, but I was in a different group and they didn't seem interested. So I'm like, I'm willing to just not go because I don't have high hopes. And so I'm not really that disappointed.
All right.
So,
Wheel
of Fortune.
Of Fortune.
It's right. It may... third favorite of the entire Kumoricon, maybe.
Top notch.
Top notch. Now, I want you to know that our technical difficulties were basically as good as a real episode of Jeopardy compared to the technical difficulties of Wheel of Fortune.
Did the wheel fall apart?
They didn't have a real wheel.
Well,
but their wheel, yes, did fall apart. They were constantly hitting buttons and like it was ruining. Like, you know how the end of Final Jeopardy went for us?
Yeah.
That happened like 500 times for them. Where they had to like go and get a different word a few times and they're like, oh, this word, we accidentally gave away the word. But it's still put on by those improv guys and it was just really funny. Like the words are, since it's after dark, they're a little provocative, risky words. But they had some teams, and they didn't know how to play Wheel of Fortune, and the guys were just making fun of them in really funny ways. Just no holds barred, just like, you're ugly. Like kind of it was just funny. Like they were just not pulling any punches. It was great. And
maybe that's what I should do. The contestants just start railing on them.
Yeah, they were just not holding anything back. Like, listen, if you're gonna be like that, you can get out. Like we hate you. Like just kind of they're being like that. It was great. And pretty great panel. It went on until the wee hours of the morning. I didn't get home till like 3 a.m. But it's fun times. It was good. It was good stuff.
All right. Well, what lessons did you take from that I should bring to Anime Jeopardy?
I think they record all of their panels and then put them up on YouTube, so you can probably watch them later and find out. But the lesson is just be a really charismatic, improv-y kind of guy.
Oh, is that it? Oh, that one tweak? Oh, I never realized being charismatic would be good.
I thought we did an all right job. But they were just willing to just make fun of them to their face and not care who cared, which I wasn't quite willing to do. And they were just good at audience crowd work. They must probably have better experience at it than we did. But yeah, because they would just walk up to people and just be like, "What do you think?" Kind of a thing. So yeah, we went to that, and then after that we went home. And day tres.
I know you did for day tres. You stayed at home.
I stayed at home most of the day. I woke up, since we got back at 3.
Earning your press badge.
We stayed
Earning your press credentials there.
Now, to be fair, I didn't use the press credentials. I never abused the press credentials.
Except for getting in for free. But
that's the only one. But I could do so much more. I could cut in line and just move people out of the way and just overall stop the show to take pictures and do random things. But I don't. I just stay in line with everybody else. Report on the con, be a real, down in the trenches kind of guy. But I looked at okay, first of all, I'm not going to make an excuse, but it is kind of an excuse. Woke up like 1:30 p.m. Was like, oh, probably should go back to the convention. Let's look and see what there is to do. And I looked. I had missed stuff that looked okay. I was like, well...
Throw off some gems that are around from 2 p.m. on. Just random panels. Read them off.
All right, we got Ask on Titan, SNK cosplay. Ask panel.
Yeah, the what?
Ask on Titan.
Okay, yeah, we could find out Attack on Titan.
Yeah, but it's Ask on Titan : SNK cosplay Ask panel. SNK, for those of you who do not know.
Yeah, for those of you.
I mean, I know that Patrick knows that, but these listeners outside might not
So
understand.
you should just
So
let
I should
us
explain
know what
it
means.
to you,
and
definitely not to Patrick, that SNK is the official Japanese abbreviation. So it's not AOT, which would be Attack on Titan. It's SNK for the Japanese full title. But anyway, that's that. We got 2014 Kumoricon Homestuck Ask panel, one of 5 Homestuck panels.
Oh, no.
I don't think it's actually 5, but it's more than one. I remember seeing it twice.
Homestuck, they're a good bunch of people.
Another great thing about those improv guys, probably my favorite thing, they hate Homestuck, and they let everybody know that. And that's glorious.
They just like scan the crowd. Any Homestuck people in
they
here
will,
tonight?
and they'll be like, all right, let's get a Homestuck guy up here. And then they'll just make fun of him, like, well, you need to go buy some more green paint? Get out of here. And it's...
I would just like to say I've never had a problem with Homestuck, and I have no idea why many anime people have problems with Homestuck.
I wouldn't call these guys anime people, but they hate it. And they also hate the pony people. They make that clear as well.
Okay.
So I was having a good time also.
Were there any pony people?
Oh, they know not to show themselves. Let's see, another random one. Songwriting workshop. Origami.
Well, you know what? You being in a band and writing songs, you probably could have gone to that, learned a thing or two.
Yeah, that was the reason number 2 why I didn't go, because I was supposed to meet my band at 6 o'clock.
Oh, you had a gig?
Not a gig, just practice.
Oh, you had practice?
Yeah, but it turned out we didn't. Fell apart right at the last second. I was
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
F these guys. I'm supposed to be somewhere else. So if you're going to jerk me around like this, I might as well have just went to the convention.
All right.
But
Yeah.
I knew that from 6 to 9 I didn't have anything to do, so it didn't matter.
Got some personal problems there. All right, that's good.
So, yeah, I stayed home. I watched anime at my own house.
Oh, well,
free
that's
from any of the people annoying me.
similar.
Yeah, I could have just went to the viewing room. But partly, my partner, Patrick, abandoned me. And also,
Well, I wouldn't say that.
my other partner, Jack, abandoned me.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
And Willis, for as much as he wanted to hang out with me, he does a 0% good job of answering texts in a reasonable time. Because they had a showing of some movie in the local theater. You remember what it was called? Something inverted dreams, inverted penises. I don't remember.
The theater's name?
No, the theater was not inverted penises. It was the. Let me pull it up here.
This is the first I'm hearing of this.
So they were doing a showing, like a partner showing, with a local kind of like Salem cinema, not affiliate, one of those small little cinemas in Vancouver. They were going to be showing this anime movie, like screening it officially. Padma Inverted. Yep. I don't know. I didn't really know anything about it, but they were going to be showing it during the convention, so you could go over and get a poster and watch the film. And I was going to do that with Willis.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, you guys, we're going to go watch. And I was like, all right, what time? 4:15. I was like, all right, well, or also the 10:30 show. Which one do you want to see? I was like, I don't know. This is over text. So I texted him, hey, the 4:15 one's dubbed. So do you want to see that one? I will see it. Nothing. Silence. A couple hours goes by. I'm still in my home watching anime. I'm like, all right, well, hopefully he responds to me. Nothing. Like, hey, man, I'm not going to go all the way to Vancouver if you're not going to go see this thing with me. Nothing. 4:15 rolls around. Right at 4:15. Hey, you going to come see it? I'm like, hey, I just texted you. You have 3 minutes to tell me whether or not you're going to go, or else I'm not going to be able to make it. And that was a half an hour ago. So I'm still in my house. Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to save on data costs. I was like, well, you texted me now, so you spent the money. You could have spent it a half hour ago, and then we both could have saw this movie. So, didn't see that movie. And nothing else really caught my fancy until Cards Against Kumoricon. Celebs versus Congoers. Now, it was one of, I think, 7 panels that these improv guys put on. They told us that they did 7
Are
panels.
they, getting paid to do this?
Nope. And they also complained that, yeah, we usually do 3 days. This is madness. They're like, we're kind of out of ideas. So, that was the thing.
They're half a Kumoricon.
Yeah. And other things that you usually see that I don't necessarily go to, but you see it, like the slightly anime dating game.
Yeah.
That wasn't there. There's a bunch of stuff like that where I'm like, where a bunch of stuff isn't here. So hopefully they like grovel to like whoever put that panel on and things like it to get their old stuff back. Like AMV After Dark, that wasn't there because Guy wasn't here.
Oh, he wasn't here the whole time?
I never saw him. I don't know if if he officially wasn't there, but you see him. He's usually around pushing a cart, talking to someone loudly about his gun collection. So, nope.
I mean, I didn't go to the AMV contest.
He was not at the AMV contest.
Oh, he wasn't?
Yeah. It was somebody else. Maybe his protege. Maybe someone at the last minute who like, Chuck, you know about AMVs? Not really. Well, you're going to run it.
I don't know about that. Okay.
Something like that. But anyway, I lined up for Cards Against Kumoricon. That was the first thing I lined up for. Now let me tell you, this line situation. I don't understand the line. I lined up, and they kept saying they're going to break up the lines, so don't line up. So I would not line up until a half an hour beforehand. And apparently that's just a myth until it applies to me, and then it's a fact, and then they start breaking up the lines. So I was trying to line up, and they scattered the line in a different way. So we're lined up, and they're like, the line needs to be organized this way on it, actually. So they restructured us, and then they put us into those groups of 5 again. It's like, all right. And then they decide, we're going to count. Right here, right in my row, like right here. That's the capacity. So no one after this can get in. It's like, all right.
Well, you just got to wait for a couple of people to leave.
Yeah, apparently it turns out she counted wrong because I was like, why? What the heck? And I was looking, and no one's lined up, and we're kind of close. I was like, can they not count? Like, what is going on? But yeah, we got in easily. I don't know why they just decided to tell us that for no reason. that there was full capacity. When we got in, there were still like 4 or 5 rows of chairs left. We're like, all right then.
I think the worst one I've ever had, it was a couple of years ago at the downtown Hilton, and the AMV contest, I went up and it's ticketed, and they're like, I'm sorry, it's out. You can't get in. And I talked to someone later, and they're like, yeah, that room was a third full.
Yeah, they just don't understand numbers, and they don't.
But they would have printed out the tickets beforehand.
Yeah, they know how many should be there.
To count.
It just is madness. And I don't understand. They don't let you line up, but they just kind of ignore that rule when it suits them. And they're like, well, they lined up already, so what can you do? But then sometimes you line up, and they're like, no lining up. Like, we're not allowed you to line up right now. And what I don't understand is these guys have been coming here for 6 years, and it's always this popular and hard to get in. Why do they keep putting them in the small room? Just put them in the big room. I think those freaking stupid raver kids can go handle it to be in the smaller room, and we can put quality programming in the big room. But no.
I do know for the big room, let's see, AMV contest and the cosplay contest going to have to go in there. I think this year the other big thing was the Avatar.
Yeah, the pro bending tournament.
Which
I heard was pretty cool, actually.
Okay, that has to be in there.
I heard that.
And then the late night raves and such. But then there's a fair amount of time that there's stuff in there, and there's like 30 people or 40 people, and yeah, so you're a little like
the Funimation panel, like that wasn't here obviously this year, but like when it was there, industry panels would be in there. There'd be like a very small handful of people just watching trailers for things. You're like, this could just be in any panel room. Like, what are you doing? Like, use your space and time effectively. But no, they didn't. But anyway, we lined up. It was god awful lining up time. It took us forever. They checked our stamps for being 18 plus like 6 times, and I don't know. I was just really annoyed that the way they handled the line. They would just come yell at us, tell us to do a bunch of stuff, and then they would change their minds and be like, no, actually, no, this is a fire hazard, no. And then some different staff member would come by and be like, you need to be standing this way. And you're like, dude, like they just told us to stand this other way. But finally got in. Cards Against Kumoricon, which I thought would be like just them playing the card game up on the stage.
Yeah.
Kind of was that, but it's like crossed with Family Feud. So the white cards are the surveys, and so the black card comes on the screen, and everyone can see it, it's projected, and then there's 2 teams, and they're the families, and they all have 10 cards each, and they have to go amongst themselves and submit a card. Submit a few. They can submit. Each of them can submit 1 or 2. I don't know. They certainly didn't say 20 answers, so I'm not sure how many they could submit. But they had a few, and then they would read them off, and they would either go by us cheering or a survey of some sort that they were like, and the survey says this one. So you'd match it depending on. It was like a crossover between Family Feud and the Cards Against Humanity.
Okay, that sounds a lot better than what I was thinking.
Same. I thought it would kind of be dumb, but it turned out to be funny because the jokes were just them reading off funny stuff.
Was it anime related?
Some of it was, yeah. Some of it was just nonsense.
Okay.
But it turned out to be pretty funny. It was probably the least favorite of the ones from them I saw, but by all means, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't the best one.
All right. Once again,
right after that,
what little tidbit do you have for me from that?
From that?
That I should incorporate into my hosting of Anime Jeopardy.
Do more making fun of them.
Who?
Everyone.
Just go out there and be like, hey, look at this guy. He's stupid.
I guess the only thing I can tell you is just make up more ridiculous things off the top of your head.
Another 20 minutes? You think I should do 40 minutes?
Not like that. More like
beginning?
they went right into the game, but they just do this banter where they're just like, all right, tell you, like, I asked 6 turtles, like, how many? Like, it would always have to do with what the card was, but it was in a funny way. He just seemed to have him off the top of his head ready to go.
Now, were they off the top of his head, or do you think he maybe...
No, he kind of thought about it. You could tell that he was thinking. I think. Maybe not. Maybe he had him pretty planned out, and he's just a brilliant actor. But I don't think that's the case.
All right.
But it was funny. Funny enough. So that was the lineup. So the line to that was outside. So we got up, went outside, directly out of that panel into the next line. We tried to line up, but this time they actually did break it up, and they're like, no lining up. And so it was just pockets of people on the sidewalk just kind of moving around, waiting. And then they like, line forms here, and we all made a mad dash. No running. And we're just like, okay, walking fast, like getting in line. It was seriously just a sea of people on the sidewalk. And it looked like a movie set with a bunch of extras, like walking just around in a circle, like where the director's like, "All right, we're gonna film a sidewalk scene. You guys just need to pretend like to be a crowd for a while." So we're just like pretending like we're definitely not waiting for the line to start. What to do? Rocking around.
I guess everyone was playing musical chairs.
It was basically musical chairs until they said like, "Ring the bell, time to get in line," and we all just made a mad dash for the line. And they lined us up for that. We stood in line for forever. That's when I got a surprise mystery call from old Kenny Von Staven.
Oh.
Yes. He called me on the satellite phone.
Oh.
And we talked to him for a bit. He was buying pears.
When was the last time you talked to him?
Maybe last month.
Not as long as... Okay, keep going.
Yeah, he talks to me every once in a while. When he's on his way home from work, just walking. He's like, oh, I was going to listen to Anibros, but I said I could just call you. It's like, yeah, I'm in line.
Yeah. Get it straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. Somebody said Marco. And then the whole crowd yelled Polo, and then Kenny said Polo, and I was like, oh, I bet that weeboo didn't know he was going to get a Polo all the way from Japan. Might have had an aneurysm if I would have told him that. But, so we talked to him for a bit. He was on his way home from work. He bought a coffee from the vending machine, some pears from the local pear guy at the fruit stand.
What were they, $20, $30 each?
He didn't tell me the price, but he said that they were the best pears on this side of the Mississippi. Anyway, so we got into the panel room, still talking with him. It became impossible to hear him. So I was like, I gotta let you go because it's just screaming and nonsense at this point. So stopped talking to Kenny. Started 18 plus Who's Lines did anyway. Not as good as not 18 plus Who's Line. And it's not because like the cursing was more offensive. It was just like it was day 3. They're not used to doing this many. It was their last panel of the entire con. They really seemed tired and like not able to speak anymore. And it was just like they were kind of burned out. And
they're just getting up there making jokes. Like, scrambled eggs. I mean, what's up with that, man?
It was not really their fault. It was just like I could understand if I had to be doing this for 3 days straight without any sleep.
Couldn't they just sign up for less panels?
Well, if you did that, then they couldn't be 4 days long. If you did that,
like I could understand if it's like, hey, Kumoricon's paid for our ticket, they paid for our airplane, they paid for our hotel,
so they just came on down.
So they aren't. I don't know. This seems odd.
Yeah, they're from Portland. The group is from here, and they just showed up. And a lot of them are already staff.
All right.
So they were just ready, and which makes it more understandable if they were tired. They're like, when I'm not up here making jokes, I have to go corral a bunch of kids that are trying to do nonsense in the park. Or, you know.
I know I've always had this secret dream that I would be doing a panel and then some voice actor or some, you know, someone semi-famous from the con would suddenly walk in and they would look and they'd sit down and I'd be like, oh my. And then I'd just do my best bits right there. And out of the corner of my eye, I'd see Carl Horn just chuckling a little bit. And then later I'd be walking by and I'd overhear him talking to someone and be like, you know, that Anime Jeopardy's and I'd be like, oh yeah. But I've come to the realization that those people are so busy they will never attend your panel, and even if they did, I doubt they're going to be like, yeah, this is unique. I've never been to a anime convention before, so this guy's top notch.
Yeah. That's always my secret dream as well, but again, I know that it will never happen, so I just have to make it my daydream material.
Go on to the next secret dream.
Yeah. So, yeah, Who's Line 18 plus, packed house, and it's funny, it went also until 2 in the morning. By then, everyone in the room was just like, we're tired of laughing, we're tired of jokes. Let's just get out of here. And because it started at 12 or 12:30, so it went on for 2.5 hours.
So, that was your last, that was yesterday. So today
I did not go.
Final day of Kumoricon.
I did not go at all.
You drove down to Kumoricon and said, I'm going to earn my press badge. Who did you interview there?
I interviewed Naruto in the flesh. He told me to, how does he say, believe it?
Okay.
And I left. No, I didn't.
Okay.
I mean, I interviewed everyone and no one. I got nothing, Patrick. I got nothing for you.
Did you at least interview Willis? I mean, is he going to make an appearance?
Willis decided to go watch that movie that I was telling you about. So I'm going to get him to talk about the movie and include that as well.
All right. That's good of him. Maybe he also went to some different panels than we went to.
A bunch of terrible panels. And he was complaining. I guess I left out the fact that before I got there on day 3, I got there kind of earlier than anything that was there I wanted to see. So I was like, what are my friends up to? And they're like, we're eating. I was like, dang it. I go, what's Willis up to? And I texted him, hey, if you're not doing anything right now, like, do you want to go get food? I am busy at 10. And it was, I think, 8 o'clock on the nose. Or maybe it was 8:30 or something. And he said nothing for quite a while. And then, oh, yeah, I'll be right there. So I wait for him. And he comes out of darkness in 20 more minutes, just panting, gets to the car with all the stuff that he had bought that day. And I was like, oh, hey, let's go get some food. So we drive across the bridge to, like, Burger King or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, I'm going to have to get that girl's number. I was like, who? What? Or, well, it was the lady who did the Sentai panel. I just want to give her some tips for next year. I was like, well, why didn't you talk to her? Well, she was still giving the panel. I was like, did you just leave it just now? Yeah. I'm like, well, Willis, I explicitly said that if you had nothing better to do, you could come.
What kind of stuff did you buy?
What did he buy? He bought a couple of Modica things. He bought something.
That's shocking.
He bought 2 plushies, and he left one of them somewhere. He couldn't find it.
I bought a plushie once. It was a piece of rice in a triangle, and it had a smile on it, and I gave it to my sister.
I remember that.
Had some glasses on it, and I said, I have glasses.
Good. But...
what did you buy? You bought some Gundam models, right?
No. I bought an Ava.
Well, you've certainly looked at some Gundam models.
I did look at some, but I couldn't justify the price. It's so god dang expensive for one gun plot. I can't figure it out.
Well, I mean, if it was too cheap, you'd be like, man, it's not expensive enough.
That's not true. That is not true. If it was that cheap, I'd be like, I'm buying all of them. All they have to do is lower the price. That's the only bar to entry here.
He'd be some crazy guy with 30 unfinished Gundam things in his house.
Whether or not I complete the model kits is not the concern of this right now. The fact that I want to have them in order to possibly build them in the future.
Why don't they just sell them like pre-made?
They do. Well, not models, but they do figures they're pre-made.
Well, just buy that.
Yeah, but they're also expensive. But I did buy a Ava Unit 2 figure. It wasn't a model kit, so it was already pre-made. So I have that. I bought an Asuka figure. Pre-made. Didn't have to build her.
Second Ava model.
Yep. I didn't. I bought a couple capsule toy Gundam things for like my desk at work.
A what?
Capsule toys.
I don't know. What is that?
So in Japan, you can buy capsule toys, and they're just in a vending machine. And it's just a bunch of little balls that have prizes in them. And then you get a random one. And it's sort of like going to McDonald's in your Happy Meal, where it's like, collect all 5, and you don't know what you're going to get if you put your money in and get the ball.
Okay.
So, but I call it a capsule toy, but it is in a box. But it's a box, and it just has a little picture of all 5 Gundams. Like, you don't know which one you're going to get. And then you open it up, and that's the one you got.
Okay.
Got 2 of those, and a bunch of snacks from the Wajimaya booth.
I got to tell you, those Wajimaya people, I think they win every Kumoricon.
The lady at the cash register, when I bought the first thing I bought, I went up there and I got like a drink. Mm-hmm. And then I was buying the drink, and then I saw the Gundam capsule toys at Wajimaya, and I was like, oh, I'll take these 2 as well. She rings me up, and I'm still standing right in front of her, and she just leans to the other guy, and he's like, we do way better here than we do at the store. I was like, okay, I'm the only one buying something, so clearly that remark is about this sale. So, all right, I guess no one's willing to just buy a bunch of stuff at the cash register at your store. And then we left, and remember we came back again to get something to drink again, and I was like, I'm just kind of thirsty, so I also got something that time, just a can of coffee or something small. It was like $1.50. I put it on the thing. She makes a sale, and she's just like, this is way better than yesterday. I'm just like, what do? You say this after everybody buys a thing to this guy? She's like, lady, stop telling me about how good the sales are. Twice it happened. I thought that was odd.
If one other booth got in there with a bunch of food, cut their profits in half.
Right
Until
now.
then, they have a monopoly practically.
I must say, if they would put a Wajimaya branch near my house, I'd probably be eating that sweet bread all the time.
No, probably not.
If it was also the price of regular snacks here in the U.S., I would do that.
I don't really like the gooey stuff on the inside too much.
Like the cinnamony, or it's like caramely, cinnamony filling.
I don't know. The one I eat, it's like kind of weird jelly, I guess is how I'd describe it.
Well, I think it's good. Those are good snacks. I like that they're not so sweet. And that is basically Kumoricon in a nutshell. It's 4 days of madness.
4 days.
It could really be consolidated into 2 days.
Well, you'd have to cut out a lot of stuff, and then Willis would get mad that his favorite panels were all cut.
Yeah, I don't really care. I want it to be 2 days. 2 days full of jam-packed, like, all 24 hours, 2 days of 24-hour panels.
They would just go up, strap you down, tape your eyelids open, and you would just be there. And then at the end of 24 hours, they'd unstrap you, and you just wander off home and say, that was pretty good.
You don't really have a full recollection of what happened, but you have a vague memory, like, I just witnessed something horrible. That's all you know.
Well, if I were to rate Kumoricon, I'd have to say, after the 1964 World's Fair, the second greatest single event in human history.
I will concur. The Berlin Olympics were pretty good, but...
What do you think of the 64 World's Fair, though?
Is that the last year they started calling it the World's Fair?
No, they still have World's Fairs.
I thought it was called the World's Expo now or something else.
I don't think so.
Like World Trade Expo. They discontinued World's Fair because, like, that's a very antiquated term for the expo now. But
that was the greatest single event in human history.
I like the
Kumoricon was number 2.
I'm a big fan of like the 1923 or something World's Fair. Like,
oh, was that the good one?
That's the big one in New York City where they built the monument.
Okay.
But we digress. That was Kumoricon. We'll probably go to NewCon. I'm going to go to NewCon.
I was thinking of doing something.
They're going to be at NewCon.
I don't know if I'll do Anime Jeopardy, but I'd like to do something.
We're not sure if we'll do a panel.
I'd like to do a panel.
I would like to do a panel as well, but I've learned in my years and in really recent history that I can't trust everyone to help me with a panel.
Here's what I say. Put together a simple one. All right. Like you had the little beer pub,
I think we
pub
should
quiz.
do that.
This is what we do. Make it 21 and older. All right. Bring in a bunch of beer. Some of it's from Japan or something. I don't know. And just start handing that out and then doing a quiz on the side.
I'm gonna look into. I'll email the Newcon and see what it would take to get a 21 plus panel.
I know one panel I enjoyed. It was after I was heading back to my car. I took a quick turn down an alley, and some people, they were playing poker, and so I played them for a while and lost quite a bit of money. I thought, but it was a pretty good panel.
Indeed. So yeah, bullet points for Kumoricon 2014.
More gambling.
More gambling. Less lines.
More alcohol.
More space. Maybe you should take some hints and put it in the goddamn convention center already, because we're getting sick of this. This bullshit, as it were. Next,
It's too expensive.
I don't know what's going to constitute. They're going to be like, yeah, we're breaking 20,000. Probably got to add another hotel. What's close? Like, I don't know what else they have to do in order to make this like an official event, because it's pretty huge. Like, they probably have enough justification to move it on up somewhere else. But so put it there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe don't alienate and or isolate and or piss off the people doing the greatest panels, because they all left. And maybe don't make your event 4 days if you can only fit enough good things to do for 3.
Oh, but it was jam full of stuff.
Maybe bring the industry back.
You remember what I was telling you? I was watching the crowd, and I said, this is a kind of odd group of people, and they're kind of older, but they're acting like children and laughing at weird things, and they like going to random panel type things, and maybe they do enjoy all that stuff.
It's possible, but I don't know. I try to think if it's more of a, is it good because it's old? Like it from not old, but is it good because it's similar to how it was when I first came? Is that what I want to see again? Or is it just the same nonsense and I'm older and it didn't actually change and it's just different people doing similar panels now? But I really think that there were some quality panels back in the day and they just aren't coming back for some reason. I know that means that I could just shut up and make good panels myself instead of complain.
Let's do it.
So yeah, if anyone wants to help us,
Yahtzee panel.
And they're going to show up during the convention.
Monopoly panel.
They don't have a job, that would be good.
Red Beret panel.
Oh, I'll go to that. I got a couple red berets. You know what I'm saying?
Those girls on that shoot 'em up anime with the
C3, Stella C3.
Yeah, they had red berets on for some reason. Well, not all of them, but I was like, what are you shooting for here?
They're not green.
You get to shoot it for? I'll explain it to you later.
Right.
But yeah, more panels.
Panels, yeah.
Make it 5 days. Just keep adding panels.
This is what you do. Let's get the City of Vancouver Police involved. We just block off an entire city block, and we evacuate the block. Mm-hmm. So all businesses, they get to leave.
Anime block party.
And the panel rooms become the businesses.
I don't see why the city hall right next door.
That could hold some more panels.
Yeah, just fill that sucker up.
Well, these are all stellar ideas, and if we went to the rant and rave, we could have told them. Someone behind me in line was having the exact same complaints about the line that I was. It was like, why don't they learn how to put them in a real panel? Because it's always full, and it's always impossible to get in. And I was like, yeah, I know, it sucks. And they're like, we should go to the rant and rave. And I'm like, we've done that. Doesn't actually do anything. And they're like, yeah, I figured. They were just as upset about it as we were.
Well, if I were a Kumoricon person, I would say to you, haters gonna hate. It's hard to put this sucker together, yo.
It's true. I say all this.
We have to get a lot of volunteers to yell at people to stand in the lines right, and they still don't.
I say this.
Still wear their freaking tails and their
fedoras
big hats, and they're walking around without any clothes on, and you're like, hey, stand in line.
True. Yeah, I just want to add, finally, we say this with constructive criticism at heart. We don't actually hate Kumoricon. It just could be much, 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 much more. But it's getting there. You're young. You'll get it.
I like the farmer's market. I thought that was good.
I bought a basket. Handmade by Gretchen. Or Gertrude. Or both.
Did you ever buy from that bakery?
Not this year.
Ah, dang it.
But if you really want, I think it'll be there every weekend. So it's not a Kumoricon specific booth.
I'd also like to say to Adam Jeffords, he came up to me after Anime Jeopardy and asked if he could have his test back, and I couldn't find it, but I just found it, and I want to let you know you did pretty bad on it. -13. So
-13.
the top score was -3.
You had to get 10 more, bro.
Yeah, let me go through what were some of the things you got wrong. Question 14, if I needed $50 right now, you would give it to me. The correct answer was actually true on that one. A lot of people got that wrong.
Got put true, yo.
In the popular anime Lotte no Ochiya, at what age must the princess form a male harem to maintain her beauty? Turns out it's 10. 10 years old.
Yeah, I gotta get those pre-pubes, yo.
Also, this one I thought was kind of... It had a little hint in it. Atamask, or whatever his name is the most powerful space pirate in the galaxy, but most know him by the following alias. Turns out it's the Pirate King.
Yeah, you ain't no butt pirate, know what I'm saying?
And I asked you to draw a monkey riding a lamb shooting an air into the air, a gun into the air, and you just drew a monkey's head and kind of quit.
Yeah, that ain't no full-on sketch, you know what I'm saying?
All right, yeah, so that was that.
All right. That's Kumoricon. Catch us in Yukon. Tune in for more exciting episodes of Anibros.
Hopefully better in this episode.
This isn't a bad episode, but it's not a bad episode.
Well.
Just gonna say it's not a bad episode.
Word to your mother.